Well, good morning, everybody. How good is it to be in the house? Man, we're just getting started this morning and I'm already overwhelmed by what God is doing. He is so faithful. And there were so many people who stood up here for the first time to worship God today. And He is so good in never letting us down, right? He was with every single person. So thank you, team, so much for leading us so beautifully. And for Phil and for David and Esther for that time as well. That was amazing. I really believe that, this is a really significant time for the church. Not just CityCoast. God is moving in really powerful ways across our city, but also across our country and the nation of the UK. And we get to be part of that, which is so exciting. It is bigger than just us here in CityCoast, but it is the larger church, which is so, so good. I don't say any of this lightly because I am starting to see, we are starting to see with our own eyes what God is doing. People being healed, not just once a month, but regularly. People having dreams and visions of what God is doing and coming to Him. People who've never picked up a Bible, picking up a Bible and reading it because God is calling His people home. And I think some of these things sometimes can sound a bit like hype, but I can tell you today that we are actually seeing this. It's not just about getting excited, but it is because the Holy Spirit is moving in a powerful way. I think sometimes when we hear things like this, we hear about revival, sometimes for some of us it might feel a bit awkward because you might have your own things going on, and seeing outside of that picture, outside of your world at the moment might be a bit tricky. And so today I want to take this opportunity to really acknowledge that where revival starts is our personal friendship and relationship with Jesus. It's not about the hype. It's not about the big, incredible miracles, although that is pointing us towards Him. It is about humbling ourselves and being honest with Jesus and telling Him how we're doing, choosing to see Him in our lives. As I prepared for this morning, I saw a picture. I'm just going to put this down because it's a bit distracting. I saw this picture of a mountain. And on the mountain, there's different people at different points. There were some people who had just seen the mountain, and they saw it, and they're like, "Oh, that's a big mountain." And then there's these other people who were like walking past and like, "Oh, I tried hiking a mountain before, and it didn't work." Some people were looking at this sign at the bottom of the mountain, and they have a look, and they see, "Oh, 45 miles to the top. I haven't got time for that." And then we see these people on the mountain who are stuck in the mud. They're trying to get up this mountain and their friends are pulling them out. I see another person who's looking out over the mountain about halfway up, just admiring what's happening. Another person's so focused on their journey walking up the mountain. And finally, someone sitting at the top of the mountain just looking out and seeing this view. And what I feel like God was speaking to me about is that this mountain is our walk with Him. This mountain is our journey with God. And all of us in this space, those different people are in this room. Some of us are on the mountain. Some of us are approaching the mountain. And at different points in our lives, we might be different people. And I asked God, where are you in this picture? Where are we meant to be? Where are you? And then I realized that actually, on every single person, regardless of whether they were on the mountain or not, the sun was shining on them. God was pursuing them. And it was just this beautiful picture that no matter what stage we are in, God is pursuing us. And it is Him that gives us the strength to take the next step. It's not us, it's Him. And the way that it starts is by pursuing Him as our best friend, as the love of our life, as the one and only. Because when we fix our eyes on Him, we actually don't see the mountain anymore. We don't see 45 miles. We don't see the failures of our past, but we see the God of everything, the God who gives us all that we need, who sustains us through everything. I've got a verse for us. I'm going to read. Okay, so this is in John 15, verse 14 to 16, and it says this. You show that you are my intimate friends when you obey all that I command you. I have never called you servants, because the master doesn't confide in his servants, and his servants don't always understand what the master is doing. But I call you my most intimate friends, for I reveal everything that I have from my Father. You didn't choose me, but I've chosen you and commissioned you to go into the world and to bear fruit, and your fruit will last, because whatever you ask of my Father for my sake will be given to you. He is calling us into friendship with him so that then we can go and be sent up the mountain. Amazing. Well, I'm so excited that you're all here this morning. We have an incredible opportunity now to watch a video of what God has been doing through our Students and Young Adults Ministries and through Red Frogs. So why don't you have a look at the screens?
Seeing people walk in with like the warmest smiles, and we allow them to have such a safe space to chat and be themselves, and it makes me feel very warm being able to give back to them.
I like serving in Red Frogs because it gives back to the young people of this community, and it gives them a space where they can be themselves and have a break from all of their hard work.
I love serving on Red Frogs because it's so good seeing so many students walk through the doors of our church every other week, getting food, getting to know us. We can chat to them. For some of them, it might be the conversation that they have today that really sparks something, and it's just so special.
I think it's just nice giving people free food, and they really appreciate it. Cohen, what do you like about being here? Do you like the food?
The crisps.
The crisps. The crisps. So, nice selfless reason there.
I love serving good coffee and seeing the impact it makes within the community.
I just love serving people, and they're just so grateful. It's brilliant.
And I had a great time at uni, but I needed community, and I think it would have been great for having something like this at uni. And also, Jesus loved eating and drinking, so do I.
Yeah.
We love the frogs because it gives us a nice place to come and hang out, and a different place that isn't uni.
I really love the hot chocolates, the chocolate covered strawberries, and the positive community that there is here.
I love doing different activities with my friends, like cookies and making the Valentine's Day cards. Yeah.
I really love that it gives us something to look forward to in the week, and always knowing that we have somewhere positive to come to and spend time.
Yeah. Love you guys.
I love how everyone here is so welcoming, and you get free food, and the space is just really nice. It's a nice open space that you can sit and chill and talk with friends, and yeah, everyone's just so nice.
I just think it's an amazing thing. I mean, I know a lot of students can't always afford to or don't have time to feed themselves properly, and so it's amazing that you guys have opened your space out to us, and we're really grateful for that.
I really like the community here. Everyone is so lovely and just really nice to talk to. So I really love that about Red Frogs, and the food, obviously, is so good. And everyone does such a hard job, bringing this together. I think it's really lovely.
I love Red Frogs because I get to spend lunch with my friends I don't see all the time, and get some free food in a really lovely venue.
Why do I like Red Frogs? Well, I love it because every single time I'm here, there's always a good community. It brings everyone together. Everyone's got a nice smile, and if you're having a bad day, you come here, you leave, and you're just you're just comfortable, you're happy.
I love it here because everyone talks to us and wants to know exactly what we're saying and listens to everything we say.
I like it because it gives a welcoming environment for anyone and everyone to come into.
I like it because we get free food, and it's always a different variety each week. I love Red Frogs because of how kind and friendly the volunteers are and how welcoming they are.
And I love it because it just brings a sense of community, and it's something we all look forward to every week.
3, 2, 1. Red Frogs.
I promised I wouldn't get teary, but it's just incredible to be part of a ministry that is making such a difference. You know, the young people that come in here on a Tuesday are so excited to be here. They often talk about how they're so refreshed. This place is somewhere they can find peace, where they can find hope. And that they feel really listened to and valued, which is amazing. And all of this is possible because of you. Every single person here who's giving into the vision of the church is giving into Red Frogs, and you are part of this mission. So today, I really just wanted to encourage you really to think about how you can play your part with Red Frogs, because I believe it is for everybody. One of the biggest things we can do is we can pray. We can pray for our volunteers and our students. The students that come into this building literally go to school across the road. So as you're walking up this road, just be praying for them, praying that they encounter God, that they experience his presence. Practically, we need people to help serve and cook food. So if you like cooking, or you like baristaing, or you're just interested, come and speak to me afterwards, because we'd love to hear from you. And this is not our only project. We also go over to a university over in Brighton and spend time in the university halls there, encouraging people. So if you're free in the evenings, not during the day, come and chat to me, because we'd love to have you on team. Shameless plug. Alrighty, we are going to segue now. So I'd love to introduce our incredible speakers from our young adults community to come on up to the stage. We have Bethia, Abby, and Dan. So good. Amazing, amazing. Well, welcome.
Hey.
Welcome to my living room.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime, anytime. So firstly, it would just be really good to hear who you are and what your week looks like and how you became part of CityCoast Church. Yeah. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Abby. I am an international student, so I'm from Texas in the States, which is super fun. I've been in Brighton for almost 4 years now, and I'm a master's student getting my degree in child psychology, which is really awesome. So yeah, most of my time is spent doing that and studying, lots of reading. Or I also work at Flower Pot, so I'm also making coffee a lot of the time, which is super fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hello, my name is Bethia. I study musical theatre with a focus on dance across the road at Performers College, was Institute for Contemporary Theatre. And yeah, so 9 till 5 every day I'm basically dancing, singing and acting, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I've been going to CityCoast now for about just under a year and a half. So yeah. Very cool.
I'm Dan. I'm a sport physiologist, so I look after people that like run marathons and stuff like that. And I've been coming to CityCoast for about 4 months now.
Amazing. So good. So we've got a bit of variety on the panel, which is exciting. So I've said in a minute or less, just so that we don't go for 10 minutes each. In a minute or less, how did you come to know Jesus? Let's start with Bethia.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it as short as I can, but what a great question. So my dad is a vicar. So I sort of grew up in the church. My Sunday mornings were always at church. And I knew who God was. I knew God was good. But I didn't really feel I had a big relationship with God until I sort of came to uni. This church is very different from my church back home. And sort of I used uni as a chance to find my feet and find my church. But my sort of turning point as a Christian was when I was about 13, I'd say. I was in the car, and on the radio, it was just like, the news sometimes is just horrible.
Yeah.
And I prayed and sort of said, God, like, if you're real and you're going to keep me safe, show me a yellow car. Because yellow cars, in my mind, are quite rare. This is why you all say, we've all got yellow cars. But yeah, so I said, show me a yellow car, and that will be like my sign. And in the space of 2 minutes, 3 yellow cars drove past. And I was like, okay, this is obviously something. And I mean, I have a huge fear of the dentist, and whenever I'm on the way to the dentist, I always see a yellow car. And the other day I was on the way to the hospital and I was fine, and then I started panicking, and immediately after I started panicking, I saw 2 yellow cars. And they're sort of just my sign from God that he's keeping me safe.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but this church has a lot of yellow decor. So when I came here, I was like, oh, okay, this is where God wants me. And that's sort of how I found this church. And from then on, in 2018, I got baptized. And then finding this church, my faith has just grown massively. So, yeah.
So good, so good. Dan.
Yeah, so I never had a faith growing up. I wasn't a Christian. And yeah, it was just one day I was scrolling through social media, as you do, and these Christian videos would just keep coming up. And it was one that, because I was continually watching them, more and more came on. And
the algorithm.
They really got me. And yeah, it was something that really intrigued me, and how people were speaking about Jesus, and it was something that I wanted to delve into more. And you just do a deep dive, and then 3 hours later, you've watched hundreds of videos. And that was kind of the real spark. And yeah, and then had conversations with neighbours, and yeah, got invited to here, and that's kind of how it happened. And when I went to uni in Freshers Week, they gave me a Bible, and it was something that I didn't really think of at the time, because not having a faith. And I'd always kept it. I'd always just left it in my top drawer, but it was something that I never had that spark to kind of like throw away. It was always something that I wanted to keep. And yeah, after watching those videos, I just started reading the Bible, and then seeing what and who Jesus really was. So that was kind of like those first cogs that were turning, and yeah, here I am now.
Amazing. Yeah. Abby, tell us about you.
Yeah, so I was super blessed to grow up with Christian parents who introduced me to the faith and let me kind of make that decision for myself, which is super awesome. So I've been a believer my whole life, but I would probably say I was around 16, 17 when I realized that like I wanted to be a follower and like continually pursue Jesus every day, because I moved around a lot growing up, and so that just required a lot of change, and things were always kind of up in the air, and I just realized, you know, I can't and don't want to do this life on my own. And so that's when I was like, you know what, Jesus, like I want to do this life with you every single day. So since, about late high school, I've been chasing after Jesus best
Amazing.
I can. Yeah.
So good. It's so beautiful, isn't it, that each one of us has a different story. And, you know, looking out, there's so many faces in this room. So I really encourage you to share your story with someone today after the service, because God is moving and he's calling us home. And each story is unique. So it's something to get excited about. So next question. What has God been speaking to you about lately? Do you want to start, Abby?
Yeah, I can. Honestly, when you first sent over these questions, I was like, oh, the Lord and I are just like having a lot of fun right now. It's like a really silly, goofy time. But then like in the last week, that's kind of changed, which is a bit wild, and he does that. And so we're still having a great time, don't get me wrong. But I'm in kind of a season right now where I am examining where I'm going to kind of be in the next chapter of life, which is sometimes a little scary and overwhelming because I'm obviously not from here. And so I've just kind of been like taking that to the Lord and asking him where he wants me. And yeah, so it's kind of between like staying here, going back to the States. And I was just like, okay, Lord, like I'm giving this over to you. Where do you want me? And this week he's just been, oh my goodness, he's just been chatting at me, which is crazy. And so I think I've just kind of been really torn about where I want to be. And I think he's calling me in one direction. And when he kind of gave me that realization, I was like, okay, Lord, like, I don't know how I feel about that. And he was like, okay, Ab, so like, what is it that you're like craving? And I was like, well, I really just want like safety and security. And he was like, okay, well, if you want that, and one option presents that, but that's not what I'm calling you to, how much more safe and secure am I and the things that I'm going to call you to?
Wow.
And I was like, wow, okay, that's really cool. But can I have like just another reminder of like that you're good and that things are going to be okay?
Yeah.
And so I'm like sat in my quiet time, like literally just asked that question. And like the next scripture passage for the day is from Psalm 103. And it's, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. The Lord who forgives all my iniquity, who heals all my diseases, redeems my life, crowns me with steadfast love and mercy, and satisfies me with good. And I was like, okay, I literally just asked you for a reminder of like how good you are, and you've just like point blank right here in the word. just reminded me. So it's been really fun, and yeah, so we've had some really tough conversations this week, but it's just goes to show that like when you keep asking and you keep seeking and you keep knocking on the door, like he does show up, and he loves to answer like our questions and our worries and doubts, and so yeah, he's just been really, really faithful, and it's awesome.
Incredible. Oh, I'm going to have to talk to you later about the answer to that question. Bethia.
Yeah, so recently I feel like I've been getting quite big imposter syndrome at uni. Like, it's all well and good dancing, singing, acting every day, but it's hard. Like, it's really tough. And you're also dancing, singing, acting every day with other people who are really good at it. And so I've been really struggling with, like, why am I here? Am I doing the right career? Like, is there career safety in this? Because it's a really sort of unknown field to go into. And so I've really been, like, trying to bring that to God. And one of the things he's really been saying is, if you weren't at this uni, Red Frogs might not have found this uni. And I think it was so exciting when we had like a little meeting and first discussed Red Frogs. And especially because I obviously go to that uni every day and see all these different people, and I just want Jesus in them. And it's so good now seeing them come to the church every other week, and they get so excited. And like, one of my friends said to me over summer, she went through a really rough time, and she said to me, I know that you go to your Wednesday group, and like I've heard you chat about it at Red Frogs. What is that? Because over summer I went through a really tough time and found myself thinking about Jesus a lot. And I was like, amazing. Obviously, so upsetting that she went through this tough time, but the fact that Jesus was in her thoughts in that period was amazing. And there's been so many times where people who have come through the door for Red Frogs have been like, I feel really safe here. And there's just like a warm feeling that I get when I'm in this building. And it's just amazing. And I think that's part of like what God's been really saying to me, in that he placed me in that uni. And I think also just trusting that God gave me the gift of dance. And like, that is one of his biggest gifts to me. And for me to pursue that as a career is amazing, because so many people just don't get that opportunity. And like, it's really tiring. And today on my Instagram, YouVersion posted a prayer, and it's a prayer for rest. And I've been really like flagging this week, and I'm a bit ill. And it said, God, I'm tired and I need to rest, but life is really busy and I feel like I can't take a break. Teach me to rest in the busyness and to rely on your strength in all things. And I was just like, wow, that's amazing, because I've been really praying for that rest and praying for that sort of rejuvenation in my degree, and for that to come up this morning and me just be like, wow, that's so good. And Jesus has just really been pushing, and obviously it's not easy. Like, I might have a day where I'm like, yeah, I can do this, and then go to uni and think everyone's better than me suddenly again. But it's definitely improving how I have been feeling, and yeah, it's been so good.
Amazing. I love it that, you know, God gives us what we need, and sometimes it comes in the form of a social media post or a picture or a direction, but he knows exactly what we need, which is so beautiful. Dan, tell us what God's been telling you about recently.
Yeah, so God's been talking to me about not allowing comfort to get in the way of mine and God's relationship. And
tough stuff.
Yeah. It's one of them where, for context, I'm a bit of an overthinker. So whenever a problem arises, I will end up thinking about 30 different possibilities to the outcome. And then it's almost like a computer. I just go in shutdown mode. And you just reboot to the next comfort stage you were in. And yeah, it's been one of them, a bit like this. It's an uncomfortable position sometimes to be in, but you need to kind of push out there and be bold in faith and kind of get into those positions. And I just remember him saying, it's one of them where in an uncomfortable position, that's when you lean on him the most. And that's when he's going to be there for you, and you can trust in him to get you through those times, because there's no growth in a relationship if you don't have those uncomfortable times and you don't have those elements where you might not feel as comfortable as you need. And it's easy, it's just as those elements, like on a Sunday morning, do you just lie in bed all day, or do you come to church and you speak to new people and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge, but yeah, definitely just being a bit more bold and a bit more uncomfortable, but being okay with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that is a challenge for us all. And incredible. I think, it's just, there's so much wisdom on these couches, and I think the beautiful thing about our church community is that we are so diverse. We've got people of all different ages, stages, cultures. And so come and chat to us, because we've got incredible things to talk about, and we want to be your friends. We want to connect with people from all generations. So, next question. Do you have any recent testimonies of something that God has done specifically in your life or a life of a friend? Are you ready to go, Dan? Yeah.
I think the big thing for me is, so during the summer, I was exploring faith a bit more and coming to Jesus, and I prayed for friends with a similar kind of mindset, or people that I could talk faith with. And because some days I'm just like, all I want to do is talk about Jesus. And I feel like my friends that aren't in faith, you can't have those conversations to the extent that you might want to have with. And yeah, when you sent the questions through, this was something that really just kind of went to the front of my mind. I prayed that in the summer, and I went to another church, and there was 3 guys there that I just started chatting to afterwards, and it was almost like God saying, this is there for you. If you pursue this, you can have that community. And then life got in the way, and I kind of fell away a little bit. And then when I came back here, it's almost like sitting here, I don't just have friends, I have a family and a community. So it's almost like God was like, you can have this if you pursue it, but then he's delivered it now tenfold. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of them where you look back and then you connect the dots, and it's like, he might not have done it as how I wanted it back then, but you look at it back now and it's just like, this is amazing.
Yeah, so good. Oh, man, our God is so good. Beth, yeah.
Yeah, so there's this, the first thing that came to my mind was this, so thought I'd share. There's this big dance convention in London. I don't know if any of you have been to the Excel Centre before. I've been for like Comic-Con, that's another one of my interests, and things like that. But they do like a dance version of Comic-Con, which is basically lots of dance colleges go, and it's meant to be sort of for prospective students, so for you to show and perform, and for students to come and sort of ask you about it. But I've been 2 years in a row now. The first year was when I knew that I had got into performance, so I wanted to go along and support. And then last year, I auditioned and I didn't get in. And I went with Mac, my boyfriend, and we were the only people from the uni that went to support. And while it was amazing supporting them, it was so painful as well. And Mac said to me, like, oh, do you want to go get a t-shirt? Because lots of my friends were in it. And they all went to buy t-shirts, and I went, I'll buy a t-shirt when I'm in it. Like the year I get in, I'll get a t-shirt. And we had our auditions in January, and I got in. Which was amazing. And when I didn't get in last year, it was like such a huge thing for me. And so over the summer, I was like really getting into the gym and trying to stretch every day. And every time I was like stretching, I was like, this is going to help me like get into move it. Like I really, really want to get in. And when we learned the audition choreography, I went into dance and I couldn't see any of the panel. Where I was stood in like the formation, I could see 2 of the panel out of 10. And I was like, that's not good. And so I was like, okay, let's just picture Jesus sat there and let's dance for him. So that's what I did. And then I came out really disheartened because I was like, they couldn't see me. Like, I don't think that was my best work. And then they came out and asked 6 out of 40, 50 people that auditioned to dance again. And I was one of them. And I was like, wow, that is like so amazing. Like, I was praying, I was like, I need to like do it again because that I wasn't happy with how that went. And they asked me to dance again, so I danced again, and then they invited us all in, and I was one of the ones that got in. And I was just like, it was just such a blessing from God, because I had prayed so much about it, and like, he knew how much it meant to me, and it seems like such a sort of material thing, but it really meant a lot for me to perform there. And it, like, for me to get recalled out of 50 people, 6 people were asked to dance again, and I was one of them. And like, I was praying and praying, like, I just want to do it again. And it was just such an amazing thing, and like, it's just really exciting. And every time I'm in rehearsals, I'm like thanking God, like, I feel so lucky to be here, and like, out of all the people that auditioned, I was one of them. And yeah,
So
it's been
cool.
really good.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. You know, God cares about the things we care about. And I think that is just such a beautiful picture of actually, he's not just some distant God who's just watching everything happen on earth, but actually wants to be involved in every part of our life. And simple things like our passions, he wants to be involved in that. So yeah, brilliant. Abby?
Yeah, so kind of going off what I shared earlier, it's really funny. Like a year ago, almost to the day, I was in like the exact same position, just trying to like figure out where I was going to be, what I was going to do. And I remember the Lord calling me to stay here and commit to something that I really didn't want to. Like, I'm going to be so honest, I did not want to be here anymore. And I was just really ready to go home. And I was just like, okay, God, like, I'm going to be obedient and listen to what you're calling me to, but I don't want to do it. And I can honestly not see how you're going to come through in this. Like, I'm just not having a good time. I don't see how you're going to turn this around. And I've been here 3 years. Like, what more is there to enjoy? Like, that was how I was feeling. Sorry, Brighton, I do love you. But God has been so unbelievably faithful, and Brighton is my home, and I love it so much, and he has just absolutely, like, blessed just about every area of my life since I've been here, and now I'm to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't want to leave. And it's just so crazy to think about, like, a year ago, I wanted so desperately to just get out of here.
Yeah.
And now to see, like, oh, I just love it, and I've got a great job, and I'm in a great degree, and I've got a great housemate, and a great community. And it's just so, like, hindsight's just a wonderful thing, isn't it? And it's just so cool to think, oh, like, I am living in the answered promises of yesterday.
Yeah.
And that is amazing, just to see that. And yeah, he does, like, really wonderful things when you're just, when you stay obedient, even when you're like, I simply don't see how you're going to work this for the good. But he works all things for the good of those called according to his purpose, which is really awesome. And yeah, so I think it's just been a hard lesson, but beautiful, of seek first the kingdom and all else will be added. But yeah, he's just, oh, he's so faithful. It's just overwhelming, like, how cool he is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know why we ever doubt him. It's really silly. It's almost like he always comes through.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
I had someone text me that recently. Yeah. Yeah, someone messaged me like, why do we worry? It's a really good question, isn't it? Because it's so easy to get to that place, and yet every single time God comes through. Even if we don't feel like it, hindsight shows us that he has come through. So final question. I'm going to ask this to Dan and Bethia. Do you have any advice or encouragements that you want to leave with our church community today?
I think mine is just, like, pray about it. Like, I have really been trying to get into reading the Bible because I didn't do it much, and through it I'm just finding so many little, like, pockets of wisdom, and just, like, chatting to God about them, like anything I don't understand. And it's like Jesus is my best friend, and it's like, if I wanted to catch up with my best friend, I'd just have a chat. And so I think sometimes he feels really far away, and it's like quite difficult to initiate that conversation. But actually, just like on my way to uni, I'll be like, okay, like, God, today, like, bless these things, thank you for these things. And I think it's just just hard to remember that it's so easy to be grateful and just to chat to God. And so I think just pray about everything and just trust that if it's not the right timing now, God will, like, bring the timing to his. And, like, even if you're like, it's now or it's never, he has a plan, and it might not be now or never. It might be later on. And yeah, I just think he's so good.
Yeah, amazing. Dan.
That's a tough follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo that really. Like, this community is amazing. And I said it in the video that I did last year. It's so amazing walking through these doors and seeing smiles on everyone's faces and people wanting to get to know everyone just to help them on their journey. And yeah, just take everything to God. You know, He's someone that's always going to be there, and even in times of trouble, He's there for you to lean on. And there's a song lyric that comes to mind, and it says, "Count your blessings and see what the Lord has done." And when you're in that trouble, just have a look back at where He's delivered in the past and where He's been faithful to you, and you've put Him first, and He's put you first. Yeah, I'd just say take everything to Him, and it will all work out in the end. It might not be on your timing, but God sees over the hill, He sees over the mountain, He sees where you're meant to be. So just seeking Him, you will be where you're meant to be through Him.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Abs, would you pray for us?
Absolutely,
Thank you.
I will. Oh, Jesus, we thank you so much for today. What an honor and a privilege it is to have brothers and sisters who just so fervently chase after you, Lord. We see the way that you're moving on them, the way that you've sent out your children to go and work the harvest, because it is plentiful, Lord. And the laborers are few, but we know that you call us and you send us out, God. So I just pray for a boldness and a confidence in your children to just go and, to share your story, to speak over the things that you've done in their lives, that we can touch every corner of the world, Father, and that you so desperately just want to come and do life with us, Lord. So in this room, Lord, I just pray that, you just come and sit with us, Lord, that when we just keep our eyes on you, it's so easy that you want to take these heavy things from us, Father. Yeah, I thank you that you are a friend, that you love to just come and sit with us in our weeping, in our mourning, in our rejoicing, in everything. You care so intimately about every single tiny piece of our lives, Father. And I just pray that, we want to see you do it again, God. We want to see a revival. We want to see an outpouring of your Spirit amongst your people, Lord. And we just pray for an increase of you, that hearts will be transformed, that any barrier that is stopping people from coming to you, that you will just knock it down, God. And that anything that the enemy tries to take from us and tries to distort, that you will just provide this clear lens of the image and the identity that you say over your children, Father. That we know that we are loved, we know that we are called, and that you just love us so much, God. I just pray that over everybody in this room or who's online, Father, that they just never forget who they are in you, God. We just love you so much, and it's all the glory and all the honor to you, Father. We love you. Amen.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys. That was incredible. So much wisdom. And yeah, I think we're all really blessed by everything you shared and what God's doing in your life. Amazing. Well,